So at the end of Lottie leaving, Scrooge is left alone, and he goes into the church where the Ghost of Christmas Future awaits for him and picks up a broken church bell. The church, well, not broken, it fell off. The church is withered and old. It's the future. It's dilapidated. So the Ghost of Christmas Future picks up the bell to alert Scrooge that it is near. Then the ghost shows himself, but his mouth is sewn together, so he doesn't speak. However, to me, the Ghost of Christmas Future we should not know what the Ghost of Christmas Future looks like, because we don't know what the future looks like. If the ghost is supposed to be the embodiment of the future, we should not know what it looks like, but whatever. So, the ghost shows Scrooge that Bob, the ghost shows Bob resigning from Scrooge and Marley's writing out his resignation. Then Bob's daughter, forgot her name, comes in and tells him that that an accident had happened with him, and that he had stolen her ice skates and fell through the ice. They run. This cool effect happens, and granted, most of the effects in this movie are great. The effect is when Scrooge looks up. They're in Scrooge and Marley's counting house. He looks up, and Tiny Tim is walking across the ice on the skates, and then falls through the ice, and Scrooge sees him turn blue. He sees him drown. And then the ghost takes him to the Righteous house where Tim is basically dying, and while they're there, Scrooge comes to the miraculous quick conclusion that in order for Tim to survive, he has to change. I don't care if he's like a psychological scientist or whatever. I have 100% doubt that he would have gotten that quickly if it hadn't been for the script. If the script hadn't been so obvious and just too quick with it, I just don't think that he would have. There are several adaptations where he doesn't get the point, and I just think that was too fast. So Scrooge tries to run to Tim to get him to wake up, but the ghost of Christmas Future rather comedically throws Scrooge out of the house, and he somehow lands on the same pond that the Tiny Tim falls through. And just as he lands on the ice, Tim dies. He lands and then falls through the ice, and just as that happens, Tim dies. Then Scrooge falls through the ice, and he finds himself, and he lands on the floor of his bedroom, where he finds that he himself is dead on his bed with no one to mourn him. They don't bring back the people who steals curtains, not the people who who only want to go to his funeral for the dinner afterwards. They don't bring that into this adaptation. What a shock. So I forgot how it happens, but he somehow ends up in a grave, in the same grave site that Marley is buried in, and he sees that Tim is buried in the same cemetery. And Scrooge says he doesn't care what happens to him, only about what happens to Tim. And I have a problem with this. It's mainly because of the original theme wasn't the original theme for Scrooge to change wasn't just because Tim had died. No, it wasn't just because he indirectly attributed to a little boy's death. It wasn't. That's my mouth. It wasn't just that. It was the fact that he was going to die alone with no one to mourn him. And it was also the fact that he contributed to a little boy's death. And it was both of that put together that made Scrooge change. It wasn't one or the other, it was both. And they really grapple onto Tiny Tim like he's the Lord and Savior of Scrooge's life, and it's not. He's not. He's just a factor of his change. Which, speaking of him changing, he asks the ghost what is the meaning of them showing his past, present, and future. Again, doesn't get it, but he gets that in order for... Marley returns again. It tells him, and this is verbatim from my notes, it tells him that though he doesn't know what the reason is, the purpose of them visiting him is for both of their redemption. Because I don't think that I actually mentioned this in the very first video. The Ghost of Christmas Past tells Marley that in order for Marley to move on, Scrooge has to repent. And so it's for both of their redemption. Scrooge refuses to change because he feels that the future that they've given him, that the future, his current future as the way he is now, is what he deserves. And he feels as though that he can't truly change because they don't really give him a because. He feels as though he can't really change, so what's the point of him trying? But he says that he just wants, that the only thing that he wants is for the ghost to spare Tim's life. And for whatever reason, the ghost redeemed him because he thought of one measly person, other than himself. Without a price. He thought of one other person without a price. Instead of thinking of all the people that he massacred through his actions and put in severe poverty without a price and feeling sorry for what he did. No, it's all landed on this one little boy because the script says so. And it just doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel genuine because it just doesn't feel genuine. Speaking of not feeling genuine, there's like a theme in this movie. Um, Pierce's redemption, redeemed Scrooge, is so out of left field. He at one moment he's thinking of his life and not and feeling that he can't change, and then once he gets that, but then once the ghosts leave him alone, he's like, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everyone, Merry Christmas. I changed. It's like, what? Oh, did I mention that the little kids under that would usually be under the Ghost of Christmas Presents uh code, it's not there at all. Yeah, want and ignorance is not there at all, and you could argue that it's because you could argue that that it could have been um 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 it that you can argue that the one part is done by Mary because she goes to Scrooge wanting to save her son's life, and the ignorance could be done what Scrooge did to Mary, and the ignorance could also be what Scrooge and Marley did to the people who worked in the mill, to the people who worked in the burned down factory, to the people who worked in the mines, and subsequently to everyone who owes Scrooge money. And so you can argue that, but I really think that the two human personifications of want and ignorance are more powerful, even though I do like the fact that they owned more than in the original. I do like that they had a hand in the industrial revolution. I just think that if it comes, that I think that they could have done it. That they could have done both. It didn't have to be one or the other. They could have done both, and it would have been all right. They didn't have to sacrifice the human personification of want and ignorance, of because it just because truly Scrooge never comes in contact in himself the want or the ignorance. Not really. In the original, the want from him is the want later on at the end is to get better, and the ignorance is him before all that. But in this, you just don't feel it at all. So I keep saying so before every sentence. I'm sorry. Scrooge goes to the Cratchits and explains what happened to him that night. Obviously, they think he's crazy. Mary is almost about to go through another another anxiety attack again. Like but he says he's going to close Scrooge and Marley's that Cratchit can resign and move on, which he never really answers Cratchit's question, where he's just like, oh, he does. So Scrooge mentions that he knows that Bob is going to resign, and when asked how he knows, he's just like, I just know. I just don't question it. I just know, and it's just like they're not going to take that for an answer. But he offers them. I forgot how much money. Did I write that down? 500 pounds. He offers to give them 500 pounds. And they take it. They take it. Like, of course, we're going to take money if we needed, but you're acting very, very crazy right now. Here's the other thing I don't like. So Mary takes him. Mary escorts him out the door after they accept the money. And though she says she will never forgive him, he still doesn't apologize for what he did to her. And I think, and I don't know if they left that out intentionally or they just forgot to put it in or what, but he should have apologized, like profusely apologized. Like he should have told Bob himself. Like and deserve the punch that I'm sure that a Joe Alwyn's Cratchit would have given him. Like how do you go through that and not apologize at the end? Like, so remember in the other video where I said Mary says she tells Scrooge that she hopes that a spirit will come and shove him by the throat and show him a mirror, and that she has the power to do that. That comes back again, where at the end Mary says, "Spirits, past, present, and future, there's still much work to do." This last line of the movie really makes me wonder what type of character that they were originally going to write for her, because it makes her seem like she could have been like a clairvoyant at some point, or a paranormalist at some point, and like she knew all of these ghosts. And it just, why? Just why? Why, people of the internet? Why did they put that in there? So that was the movie. And that was my review, my 3-part video review. So what do I think about it? I still think it's but it's interesting enough that if you're really curious, or you just don't freaking care, it's a watch. Again, if you are not triggered by that one scene, then it is, if the curiosity is worth it. If you are triggered by that scene, I apologized. I apologize. And FX should really apologize for that scene. And if you're triggered by that scene, don't watch it at all. It will, no. But if you love this if you love the original source material and the other adaptations, this one could be on your list or it could not be. If this seems intriguing enough out of a curiosity mindset, then okay. I will say that I'll probably watch this adaptation more out of, not torture, out of a mindset. I'm trying to get more people to watch it so I can have more people to rant to, and just have a discussion about it, because no one has seen this movie apparently. So how do I rate it against the source material? Well, against the source material, it is let's say a 1 out of 5. It is a 1 out of 5 for the source material. It just doesn't. it just doesn't hold a candle to the original source material. It against other adaptations, I would say it's like a so the best the best adaptations that I've reviewed, those are like a 4 out of 5 adaptation, a 4 out of 5 rating to the original source material. They are 4 out of 5 star compared to the original. The worst, excluding this, the worst are like a 3 star comparison to the source material. This is about a 1. This is a 1 out of 5 to the source material, a 2 out of 5 for the worst adaptations, and a 0 out of 5 for the best. That's the way that I can rate it, because it is such an adaptation all on its own. It is an adaptation on its own. And I pray to God that no one does this crap again. Just stick to the source material, people, please. Please, or corporate CEO adaptions. Although those are getting pretty tired too. Make one about Congress. That would be funny. But not trying to make it political. But yeah. I'm not sure whose fault all of these add-ins are, but I'm going to probably pin it on FX. It could be the BBC too, but I don't know. But both of them are to blame for this adaptation, so they both take the blame. Okay guys, thank you for sitting through my 3-part video of this review, and it's on Hulu, it's on Amazon Prime. If you want to watch it, go watch it. Have a great day.